Up images for Cowboys fans. Gunslinger, swashbuckler, overrated, top 5 quarterback, cocky, humble. So just where do you fall? It has been a roller coaster ride for Romo through his first 6 years in the league. We'll take a look at where he began and where he is going. And we'll start before he ever took a regular season snap.
This Romo guy we got here, I like to kill him. I really would. But I really like him. I like him because he's spunky, he's smart, he's charismatic, he's got a lot of these things that I like. But he'll just do some things that drive me nuts.
And if it's any consolation, we are 5 years down the road from when Bill Parcells made those comments, and Romo is still doing some things that drive people nuts. There are certain truths we hold to be self-evident about Romo, but there are also some myths about him as well. So let's get started. Tony Romo can't handle the pressure of a big game. Well, we just kind of redefined what a big game is. In just his 4th NFL start, he beat Peyton Manning and Indianapolis when the Colts were 9-0. In 2007, he beat the Giants at the Meadowlands when the Giants were on a 6-game winning streak and the NFC East lead was on the line. Romo threw 4 touchdown passes in that game. And he beat the Packers when they came to Texas Stadium when both teams were 10-1 and home field advantage throughout the playoffs was at stake. Super Bowls? No. Big games? Yes. Tony Romo needs to play better in December. How many NFL teams' Final 4 games last year came against 4 teams that went to the playoffs? 1. The Dallas Cowboys. That wasn't an easy road, but your game has to be airtight when it comes to competing against playoff caliber teams. You can get by against the 49ers and Bengals when your mechanics break down. When your same mechanics and decision-making process breaks down against teams like the Ravens and Eagles, it can cost you the ball game. Romo needs a media talent coach.
We're going to try and win next year. We're going to try and get back in the playoffs, and we're going to try and win a Super Bowl. That's all you can do. I mean, if we don't, okay. If you do, okay. I've had a lot worse happen to me than a loss in a sporting event, that's for sure. And if this is the worst thing that ever happens to me, then I've lived a pretty good life.
Your comments after the Philadelphia game were not well received. Do you wish you could have a do-over on that press conference?
No, I think, yeah, we live and we learn and we teach ourselves all the time.
I think the Cowboy fan wanted you, he and she, to be bleeding through your eyeballs. And it almost seemed to be a kind of a cavalier approach in the press conference to losing. You understand that perception?
Oh, no question. I think everybody, and I'm the same way. When I sit there and watch and I see something, I'm the same way toward you. I'm like, oh, he may not care as much or blah, blah. I'm the one who had to go home and think about it for the next 48 straight hours without sleeping much at all. And then, I'm the one, so I'm trying to make myself somehow feel better about it. I'm trying to sit there and tell myself everything will be okay, even though inside you feel like it's not, even though you feel like you didn't accomplish anything.
Romo will never win a playoff game. Romo should have at least 2 playoff wins under his belt already. The infamous bobbled snap in Seattle cost him 1, and if Patrick Creighton finishes his route against the Giants, he probably has 2. And if they beat the Giants, the following week they would have hosted the Packers, who they had already defeated earlier that year. Peyton Manning didn't win a playoff game until his 6th year as a starter. Romo has 2.5 years under his belt. It will happen. Romo will have more pressure on him now that Terrell Owens is gone. Owens' absence makes no difference. There's always pressure on the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. Don't believe me? Listen to the guys who know.
Pressure is something you need to be able to deal with, and you need to be able to handle it. But at times, you're a human being, and you just don't. Maybe you don't want it. But that's a short-lived time.
You're certainly under a microscope when you're a professional athlete. That goes without saying. When you're the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, it's an electron microscope.
There's very few guys that really know what you're going through, and the Staubachs and the Mortons and the Danny Whites.
Well, and they do, and they understand it. They understand the expectations. They understand, you know, the pressures that are involved, and I don't even know that people within this locker room understand. I don't know that coaches understand. The people who you would normally say have a pretty good idea as to what's involved, I don't know that even those people really do.
Romo folds in the fourth quarter. Romo led the NFL in passer rating in the fourth quarter this year. The two quarterbacks in the Super Bowl came in at 17 and 24. Romo is good when you need your quarterback to be good on third down and in the fourth quarter. Now he just needs to be good in December. Romo has to take better care of the football. Romo was 28th in percentage of passes intercepted. His game is high risk, high reward, but he has to get himself in the middle of that pack. The last piece of advice that Bill Parcells had for him before he left? What was the one thing you told Tony? You better do this or you're going to be in trouble.
You can't turn the ball over. You cannot do it. You have to be judicious in your judgments with the ball. And if you're a quarterback that can't hold on to it when he gets tackled, or he's errant when he's throwing and not accurate, and it's just a question of time. You might get away with it for a while, but once they find out what you can't do and where you can't throw it, they take away where you can throw it, and it's over.
Bill Parcells used to tell me a time or two, got to keep this guy on a short leash. Speaking of Romo, he never mentioned that to you?
Probably 800 times. That's a big expression, and he kind of went like this every time he did it.
Has Romo been unfairly criticized? Over the last 2 years, he has a higher winning percentage as a starter than Ben Roethlisberger, Kurt Warner, and Eli Manning. No quarterback has thrown more touchdown passes in those 2 years. But until he slips a Super Bowl ring on his finger, well, the man who signs the checks knows the criticism comes with the job description.
What do you say when you say a quarterback? One of them is getting used to taking heat and from the expectations that are there. I don't believe there's any way to be the quarterback and the amount and intensity of it, quarterback of the Cowboys. I don't believe there's any way to play that position and not get barrages of criticism.
All right, so we summed up 6 years into about 7 minutes, right? Joined by Mac Engel, the beat writer for the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. And it was interesting, Mac, we were at a practice a week ago, and we just kind of started talking, and suddenly we were on a 1-hour Romo discussion. And I said, I've got to bring Mac Engel to discuss this. And Mac Engel, by the way, is literally the man who wrote the book on Tony Romo. And if you don't believe me, I think we got a little shot of it. Yeah,
wow, there it is.
Huh?
Still on sale.
Yeah, available for
available. That's exactly right. Makes a good Mother's Day present.
All right, hey, we came out. We heard Jerry Jones talking about Romo. That was a couple of weeks ago in the criticism. And the question I had actually posed to Jerry was, it seems like Romo has had more criticism in the last 4 months since the season ended than he had in his first 6 years. So why has that happened?
Because nothing's happened. And I think when you look at what's happened, the way the season ended, they didn't just lose. They ended in the worst fashion imaginable. 44-6. He was bad. The team was atrocious. And now all Cowboys fans have to sit there and look at 9-7. And a god-awful loss to the Eagles.
9-7 and 44-6.
Yeah, exactly. So when you put those things together, then you can look at all the things that also happened with Jay Cutler getting traded from Denver to Chicago. Oh, Jay Cutler's available.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, so I think that it's a combination of nothing's happened, and all Cowboy fans really have to look at it and say, well, gee whiz, this guy was supposed to be so great, and here we are. Our team's not in the Super Bowl, and the 9-7 Cardinals are with the 58-year quarterback in Kurt Warner.
All right, well, we're going to take that 1-hour discussion we had last week. We're going to come back. We're going to condense it again. We're going to have Mac Engel coming back here on The Score. We'll talk more Tony Romo, plus the Rangers.